Finally, the Caps Lock Said Chair Shots is back on SoundCloud and YouTube. That's where you can find us. My name is Ed Burkeen. I am a writer for Real Sport 101. Joining me, as always, is the real Danny D, Dan Dort. Say hi to the people, Dan.
What's up, everyone?
And filling in for our backyard wrestling champion, Beano Machino, is the one, the only, the Jaime. Say hi to the people, Jaime.
What's up, wrestling fans? Hello. I'm from the Philippines, and let's go.
Very well. Let's kick things off with the big story in the WWE that's been dominating headlines for the better part of 2 weeks, and that is the Superstar Shakeup. Dan, I'm going to start with you. We saw something in the range of 15 pieces of talent go back and forth between the two shows. What was the biggest piece that we saw go to a new show?
Okay, so I'm going to go on this soapbox really quick. Everyone that's been complaining about the way the Superstar Shakeup went down needs to stop. This was probably one of the best things the WWE has done in such a long time. They got a pure crowd reaction. Nobody knew who was going to show up where. Yes, after Raw, we had an idea who was going to show up on SmackDown. This was all planned as a Daniel Bryan, Kurt Angle angle the whole time. Pun not intended on that. So just enjoy it while it was there. Stop complaining about things not going the way you want them to go. And the best move overall was Dean Ambrose. Him going to Raw was probably the best thing that could have happened for this company.
You know what? It is a decent move, and it's going to set up Chris Jericho to go after his 10th individual Intercontinental Championship reign. Same question, Jaime, what was the best move in the Superstar Shakeup?
Well, I'll keep it simple. So for me, it's Bray Wyatt. Because, you see, the Bray Wyatt's move to Monday Night Raw sets up that feud with Finn Balor, as we have seen. And it will be interesting to see how many times the Demon King turns into the Demon King on TV.
That's very true, and as of late, if you've been watching, he's also been wearing his Balor Club shirt and jacket, which they've been pushing in the WWE shop. Okay, Jaime, we're going to stay with you. Worst move of the shakeup.
Worst move could probably be, well, if Kevin Owens is set to move to SmackDown, for me, it's going to be him.
Interesting. Elaborate.
Because, don't get me wrong here, but it's only going to be wrong because, you see, SmackDown Live is like veterans galore, like WWE veterans galore. So for me, it's better if it's Chris Jericho who gets moved to SmackDown if he wins. But definitely, according to some rumors, it's going to be Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Set up that AJ Styles feud.
Hey, that would be something I'd like to see. Dan, what do you have for your worst move of the shakeup?
The worst move for me was a move that did not happen. And that was AJ Styles not going to Raw. That is your premier show. That is your premier player in the WWE. How do you not take your top talent, your top guy, the guy that is now, as he likes to be announced as, the face that runs the place? How is he not on your face show? How is he not on your top show? That's a 3-hour show. That's a long show. You needed him on Raw to be able to fill up those main event slots and give you the matches that are going to keep people watching for the full 3 hours, and your ratings don't drop off after the second hour.
Yeah, Dan, if I may add, if AJ Styles moves to Monday Night Raw, that sets up the Bullet Club reunion.
That's very true, too. And it would also set up an interesting feud between Finn and AJ as far as who would be the leader of that club. Now, you guys both brought great points. This is where I'm going to tell you, you both are completely wrong and deserve to have your WWE fan cards revoked. The biggest move of the Superstar Shakeup was Byron Saxton going to SmackDown. It's going to be epic. It's huge. Byron Saxton is a superstar in the making. He is the biggest mover. And the worst move is probably going to be the rate hike for the WWE's insurance dealing with emergency vehicles because Jesus Christ, Braun Strowman. That was one of the greatest segments in Raw in the last 2 years. Dan, what did you think about I'm not finished with you yet, and the overturning of the ambulance.
I like the segment, but I don't know. Like, it's a good segment, but it was just hard for me to get behind. It's hard to watch that as far as getting pushed off the ledge and then seeing him take the faceplant strapped down and then just seeing the ambo tip. I mean, that is a way to try to get heat off of Roman. And it somewhat worked, but at the same time, you still had the fans chanting, "Thank you, Braun." So man, it was a hard segment to watch because it was just rolling to see the one of the guys take that beating, and man, especially after he's beat Braun a couple times here lately.
Oh my gosh. While I quell my dissension toward your opinion, Jaime, what did you think?
Well, I also think it's the angle itself is good, but if you see the fact, it's kind of ironic that the fans are getting behind Braun, but booing Roman, giving him that much flack for being pushed to the moon. But you know me, I'm a biased Braun Strowman hater. So bias aside, the angle was good, but I think it was too long and too many replays.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you there. But if you look at some of the greatest wrestling that any of us have seen when it came to Monday Night Raw, that segment had all of it. It had the holy crap did that just happen move. Okay, it's over, but it's not over, and it's going to keep going. It had multiple replays, and it dealt with a vehicle. It was a superhuman feat, the likes of which we haven't seen since, maybe Brock Lesnar superplexing Big Show and breaking the freaking ring on SmackDown. Or Big Show having a sequel to that with Mark Henry. I don't know. But either way, it was impressive. It was funny. It was shocking. It was something that I could watch on replay for days and days and days. And as long as I hear him say, "I'm not through with you yet," and keep beating down Roman, he could have been doing it to Ellsworth. He could have been doing it to The Undertaker. He could have been doing it to Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He could have been doing it to Hornswoggle for all I care. It was awesome.
I definitely agree. And just to add to that, I think the last time we saw a vehicle flip on live television was when Big Show did it. Remember his feud with Luther Reigns?
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
That. I think it's a 600-ton Jeep that they're trying to build up. Like, he was trying to build up that the Jeep weighs around 600 tons. Then, Luther Reigns couldn't tip it over. Then Big Show did it without breaking any sweat. That's the last time we saw something like that happen on TV.
Either way, it was still awesome to watch. Now, moving on, we're going to go to the next thing, and that is the number one contender match that ended SmackDown. Jaime, what are your thoughts on how it ended and the number one contender?
Well, if Kevin Owens is bound to move to SmackDown Live and take the title with it, so it's just logical that AJ Styles wins that number one contenders match.
Right. How was the action?
Well, pretty much surprised that Baron Corbin was able to hold his own against the two good workers, AJ Styles and Sami Zayn.
Right. Now, Dan, your thoughts. Was it shocking to see Corbin go toe-to-toe with him, or is this maybe the launching pad that will, or maybe not the launching pad, but a platform we see Corbin continue to rise upon?
He is not a lone wolf. He has a pack of wolves behind him. Baron Corbin has progressed so much since his NXT days. That's why I said wow when he said he was surprised to see that. Sami Zayn and AJ Styles are two of the best workers. But let's not forget what Baron Corbin's done, man. He has gone in the ring with guys that can work. This is not his first match. This is not his first rodeo. That guy can work, and that guy can sell. He is going to be a powerhouse for the WWE to build behind. He can work on the mic. He's progressing on the mic, it seems like, almost every week. I am a lone wolf lover, man. He is awesome. There is so much good to come from that. One thing I would say about that match is I was very surprised to see Styles pin Sammy. That was a face-on-face pin, basically. You pretty much saw the face turn, 2 weeks ago when he came out and shook Shane's hand. And he's bound to be a face when he goes up against Owens, too, who was one of the best heels in the business right now. I was surprised to see the way that match went down. It was a hell of a match. I could watch the same match over and over and watch those guys go back and forth. Three of the best guys in the business right now, in my opinion.
Well, honestly, I don't think the winner in that match really mattered, because if Zayn wins, you got that feud that him and Owens have had for the last 3 years. If AJ wins, it's very much logical that, you could see AJ holding the Intercontinental title, and it opens up a lot more feuds with him. If you see Corbin win, it continues the push that he has. The winner really doesn't matter. The fact that AJ pinned Sammy now maybe allows Sammy, maybe he turns heel, gets revenge on AJ in that match, maybe reunites with Owens. Owens says he doesn't want friends, but Owens was his best when he had Jericho with him. Now he can have Zayn with him, and we see best friends turn bitter enemies back to best friends again. It could set up something really terrific if it's played the right way, and it would give AJ, the 1 versus 2 thing, where now we got these 2 best friends that have been in the Indies forever, been in NXT together. Now they're fighting up against AJ Styles, who the crowd would just follow, and it would be terrific. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, man. I also see Corbin moving into greener pastures. You see, he might be competing for world titles while Styles and Owens feud with the mid-card title of SmackDown.
Yeah, I've actually read something online that it is postulated that Randy Orton's next feud after Bray Wyatt is the Lone Wolf Baron Corbin.
Ooh, that would be interesting to watch. The mind games, the action, the segments, the violence. I'm interested to see that feud. Definitely looking forward to that.
Absolutely. The next thing I want to talk about before we move on to Impact, before Dan has to break from us and me and Jaime finish out the show, is for the last, 10 years, there has been a exodus of fans in the WWE, in large part because of the booking and the writing. So my question will start with Dan first. How do we fix the WWE? How do we bring back the 5 and 6 ratings we saw during the Monday Night Wars?
You progress back to back towards the Attitude Era. I was not sad to see the Attitude Era go. And I'm definitely not sad to see the PG era go. I feel like they might get back to those ratings. But at the same time, I don't know if any TV programming in itself will ever have the ratings that they used to, thanks to DVRs and internet. What's the point of watching a show live when I can record it and watch it 2 hours later when all the commercials are basically done and I don't have to sit through commercials? To me, it's going to be hard for it to happen when Vince retires. I truly think that will help the company as far as ratings as well. You're going to have younger minds take over, and they're going to give it a little bit more of what I think fans want nowadays.
Yeah, but it could also very much kill the product. Say what you will about Vince. He has been the steady voice that has kept the machine running. And we say that the ratings are down, and that's fine and good, but there's the network. There's monthly pay-per-views. You could literally focus your entire life, which a lot of us do, around the WWE and live a fulfilling life. They have worked it to where you can get wrestling at your fingertips 24/7. Without Vince, I don't know that happens. And you want to talk about, when Vince goes away, things will be different. But the thing about it is, we saw Vince Russo, who was the mastermind of the Attitude Era, leave the WWE and lose Vince's creative control, go to WCW, and the tailspin that company went into, legendary. So maybe losing Vince is not the great thing we all anticipate. Jaime, what are your thoughts? How would you fix the WWE and bring back 10 million people?
Well, right now, the indie scene has got their much-needed publicity, and right now I do not see the WWE going back to the Attitude Era. I think they're going to keep firm, stay steady, and stick with the PG content that they used to produce. And that's the reason NXT is a thing right now, because indie guys get to do indie things, and if the main roster is able to do such action without that much violence, such entertainment without that much violence, then I think that's enough to get the fans back.
Abso-freaking-lutely it is. But one thing that I think would be most crucial to bringing back those fans, you got to bring back the chaos. The great thing that made SmackDown and Raw so good was the fact that if you search all the dirt sheet websites you could find, even the upcoming Dust Sheet article that will be posted on realsport101.com, search my name, you will find it next week. You wouldn't have found any rumors. Nothing would have been confirmed as far as who's going where. That was the great thing. The internet has killed the chaos. If you could find a way to bring back the element of, holy crap, what's going to happen next? Because that's what we all tuned into wrestling for every Monday night. Whether it was Nitro, whether it was Raw, who's coming out of the curtain? Who's coming from WCW? Who's going to WCW? Who's going to be in this match? Why the heck is the APA in a tag team match with the Dudleys when clearly the Hardys are the next ones in line for the titles? It didn't make sense, but it was chaotic. It was fun. You had no idea what's going to happen next. You didn't have the confirmed rumors. Hey, Raw's in Texas and Stone Cold Steve Austin's backstage, so he's going to be used. You didn't know any of that stuff. They need to find a way to keep everything under wraps, say screw the dirt sheets, screw my hero Dave Meltzer, screw everybody else, we're going to keep it under lock and key, and this is what we're going to do because this is what makes people watch, the fact that they have to watch. They have to tune in, they have to have USA, they have to be there every night to see what's going to happen.
That's actually how TNA was back when they had their woes, you see. Back in, let's say, 2004, it's supposed to 2005 when Christian made a surprise appearance. Same as Booker T. They were dirt sheet, full of surprises. Same thing, same concept.
That was because TNA was just so mismanaged at the time. I don't even think the management knew who was going to show up on a nightly basis. TNA in 2004 and 2005 was not great. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I think it's as much as some people just like the Indies. The Indies are what's going to fuel the WWE. They need to get people in there like the Bucks, like Kenny Omega, like Ospreay, Sabre Jr., and all the top names out there. They need to get these guys into the company because this is what's going to draw people in. Because not having names like this is what's keeping people from watching.
You had to bring up his name. You had to mention Zack Sabre Jr. You just had to. Every week you mention this guy's name knowing I can't stand him and his indie jobbing style. But you do it anyway, Dan. You do it anyway. The indies are the minor leagues. And yeah, you're right. The minor leagues do feed into the WWE. And everybody's got this fanboy love affair with everybody that's held some $5 title wrestling at a bingo hall or a VFW down a county road somewhere in the backwoods of West Virginia. Screw that. If you want to watch a grainy internet video, more power to you. But these guys will never make it. Yeah, there's 10 or 15 guys in the WWE that have been big stars in the indies. The indies are nothing. The indies are something fun to watch. They're the YouTube of wrestling. They're not the NBC. They're not the CBS. They're not ESPN. They're YouTube. They're a bunch of people that have $100 that can put together the stuff for a ring and fly around thinking they're superstars when they're not. There's 10 or 15 guys out there that are big stars, but they're not. They'll never make it to the WWE. They'll never be big stars, and they'll never stick around. I'm sorry. That's my rant on the indies. Now, Jaime, destroy me.
Well, that's the reason they have NXT. To rebuild these guys.
Well,
see how they built El Generico into Sami Zayn?
Defend them all you want. I'm just telling you right now, I don't care. You're not going to catch me at a Ring of Honor show. You're not going to catch me at some CZW or GFW or 3 other letters that I don't care about.
The Bucks make more money than half of the WWE roster.
Yeah, that's right. I heard that.
Okay, it comes down to this.
More money than half of the roster, the main roster on the WWE.
It comes down to this.
Let's just look at the guys in NXT that have left and gone on to do what they do and do it well. Sami Callihan won. Kenny Omega's won. They're bringing guys in like Tommy End, who is now Aleister Black. Kevin Steen, who's now Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and Tyler Black, and Ethan Carter III was in NXT too, and Bobby Lashley and John Cena, and they were all in the WWE minor leagues, and great, everybody's got to start somewhere. I'm just saying 90% of the guys in the indies will never make it to your nationally televised viewing programs. It's something...
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, 90% is not going to make it, but the players that we're talking about the 10% that are going to make it, that should make it. These are guys they need to sign. I mean, you're talking about what? Let's just go with Raw, for example. You're talking about 45 spots is what they have. So you combine Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, not including what's not on TV in NXT. What are we looking at? Maybe 100 quote-unquote jobs?
205 Live, that makes 110. Give credit where credit's due here.
205 Live counts with Raw.
Screw that. No, that's no. Head is hurting right now. No, look at it this way. It's something similar. I mean, hi man, you watch soccer, I'm sure, and Dan, you're no stranger to it. It's something similar to somebody playing soccer in the English Premier League, which would be the WWE, versus somebody playing in a league in Germany. Yeah, the guy in Germany scores 50 goals in a season, and he makes 5 million euros a year. But it's not the same as a guy that's riding the bench for, let's say, Manchester United, who's making $2.5 million a year. But if you put that guy riding the bench for the United in Germany, he's going to be better than that guy. It's the same purpose. You put Jinder Mahal in Ring of Honor, he's going to be their world champion forever. But you put somebody, I think Christopher Daniels is the Ring of Honor champion, correct?
Yeah.
You put Christopher Daniels in the WWE, he is going to struggle to do anything. Yeah, he's a big star, he's a big fish in a small pond, but the WWE have whales and teardrops. That's all I'm going to say. And that was a ripoff of Jerry the King Lawler.
I'm pretty sure the most recent Ring of Honor champions have all been WWE Universal or Heavyweight champions at this point.
How about the more mainstream names, like, let's say, Eli Drake or the EC3 now? Would they make it to the WWE if they decide to sign?
Well, EC3 failed in NXT. Eli Drake failed in NXT. Tyrus, Eli Drake's heavy, failed as the Funkasaurus. Granted, that could be he was given with a crap character, but still, failed as the Funkasaurus.
Would anybody make it as the Funkasaurus?
I don't think so.
It gave Naomi a jump start. She was a Funkadactyl, and she's the SmackDown Women's Champion, right?
Yeah, I mean, Naomi is... Look, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. The WWE is the major league. Anybody out there right now in the business, that is where they want to be. That is where they want to be. Anybody that wants to pursue a wrestling career, whether it be ballet, in-ring talent, an announcer, somebody that wants to do production for the company, that is the company that they want to end up with. My whole point to try to bring this back together is if they want to get ratings, they need to bring in these names, these out-of-market names. You have a whole UK championship title. What have they done with that besides defend it at Axis and once on NXT? You're missing a whole market on the other side of the world almost. We have guys over there that write and they run the site and everything for us at realsport101.com. They're missing the point by not doing anything with this championship. You have the Bruiserweight. He's over huge no matter where he goes. Use these guys and build this market. Build what you have. Bring in Ospreay. Bring in Sabre Jr. Because they're the biggest names overseas. Bring these guys in.
That's strike two, Dan. That's strike two. No, I completely agree with you because they should have made that English championship or the Battle of Britain or the title of Britain or whatever the hell they called it. They should have made that into another European title. But then that would give 3 B-list titles, and I'm not sure they wanted to do that. Or at least have the WWE run a weekly or monthly show in touring England and over there. Have it defended at that show every month, since that's the only time we see title defenses is once a month. Let them do it every month. Keep the title in England. When the WWE's over in England, highlight it on Raw. Highlight it on SmackDown.
Speaking of B-list titles, this is something I have been saying that I think they need to do since they've done the brand split. Do a TV title and let this guy show up on both shows. He doesn't have to show up on both shows back-to-back nights, but he's on Raw one week, the next week he's on SmackDown. Give this to somebody that you're going to have go back and forth. That way, you never know who can show up where. If you have a guy that's hot on SmackDown, for example, let's say they wouldn't have destroyed Mojo Rawley with that promo last week. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Boom, he gets a TV title shot. Now he can flop between both shows for a month until you're building up that next person. That is something I think they really should do because it's still the same company. Build these brands up and let it go and just let them run with it, man.
Sorry, Jaime.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jaime, give me a TV title holder.
Well, since Dan mentioned Mojo Rawley, why not feud with Jinder Mahal for his initial feud for that TV title?
I love it. I love it. The WWE's trying to grow into the subcontinent of India. Jinder, if he's not, Indian, he definitely can play the part. Go for it.
He looks the part. He now looks the part.
That is very true, but looks can be deceiving. I'm actually doing a piece on Muhammad Hassan, who they claim to be an Arab terrorist, was actually Italian. He was actually an Italian man playing an Arab.
I'm actually working on the could have beens of the ruthless aggression era. So I had Rene Dubray, I had I'm gonna have Muhammad Hassan. I'm gonna have Mark Jindrak for the could have beens. So by the way, speaking of the TV title, since you're gonna bounce back and forth to both shows, why not? That's where you put Elias Sampson. He can drift around both shows and he can use that gimmick to his advantage, to that TV title's advantage.
Oh, hey.
That's the guy that needs to drift to the Indies.
I kind of agree with you. But one thing we love on the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast is synergy. And having the drifter go back and forth is the definition of synergy. Also, since we are about halfway through with this podcast, a little bit over actually, we would like to say thank you to RealSport101.com, specifically Senior Editor-in-Chief Kurt Samuel. If you missed his interview with us, you can hear it on last week's episode, for making this podcast possible. All three of us here today, Jaime, the real Danny D, and myself, are all writers for Real Sport 101. Dan covers the Baltimore Orioles and baseball. I pretty much strictly stick to wrestling unheard stories that you may not be aware of, and covering Impact, with some help from Danny D. Jaime, what other avenues do you cover other than wrestling?
Well, I plan to diversify into MMA someday, because being an amateur fighter myself, but I'd rather stick to wrestling because it's my first love and it's still my ultimate dream over MMA.
Right, that's why we call you the one, the only, and the muscle for the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast that we have. So let's jump back into things and let's jump over to Impact. Now, as many of you know, myself, I do the recaps for the weekly show found on Pop TV at 8, 7 Central on your Thursday night programming circuit. And the real Danny D, he does the power rankings, which hopefully will be up sometime in the next couple of days. Jaime, were you able to watch anything on Impact today?
Well, I watched the first part. I stopped on the tag match.
Well, let me tell you what you missed. And Dan, feel free to jump in whenever you feel. You missed a good show from Santana Garrett, who's a young up-and-coming member of the Knockouts division, as she took on the reigning Knockouts champion, who has held the title since December, in Rosemary.
I was able to watch that match. I actually thought that Santana Garrett she got good ring awareness, and she was able to hold her own against Rosemary.
Hey, did I just hear Ed compliment a indie wrestler?
Oh, yeah.
You see,
Santana Garrett.
This is where I'm torn, because I love Impact. You know, it's something that I recently rediscovered. And yes, I'm ashamed. I'm hurt. I'm even a little angry at myself. But yes, I covered and complimented an indie wrestler.
She is a name that if she didn't sign with Impact, I haven't seen anything about her signing. But she's definitely a name that we should look for when it comes to the WWE Women's Tournament this summer. I have a feeling that we're going to see names like hers, Dina Purrazzo, who has shown up on Impact before. Mm-hmm. Dina has also shown up on WWE before.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch about 5 hours of The Rock and Hulk Hogan's DVD to make up for that glaring mistake. I apologize to all of my hardcore mainstream fans out there. I call them the bricks in the wall, but that's beside the point. Other things you may have missed. Jaime, you didn't miss this one, and that was the tag team division remains hot. As the
Oi.
Exactly. Reno Scum, Decay, and the team of Laredo Kid and Garza Jr. had a 3-team, they don't call it a triple threat in Impact, I'm not really sure what they call it, but it was a 3-team match that saw Reno Scum put just the most crazy double curb stomp finishing maneuver on Crazy Steve of Decay and take home that victory, hopefully giving them a tag team title shot against LAX. Dan, what are your thoughts on Reno Scum, LAX? Do you see that being a title shot in the future?
I don't know how to say it, but I hate Reno Scum.
What?
I cannot stand them.
Oh, why?
Their gimmick, I think it's terrible. I don't like it.
Well, I'll agree with you there.
The guys are good performers. I just don't like the gimmick. I mean, I can definitely get down with them, and bad gimmick equals bad thoughts from Dan.
But they're getting over. with the fans with the oi oi oi. I think the WWE wants to kill some of that traffic. I forgot who's that wrestler they chant oi 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 with, but I think they're trying to kill Reno Scum's traffic.
I thought early in Sammy's career that
It was ole ole for Sami Zayn.
that's
Just
my
recently, I forgot who that wrestler was. If he was in NXT or on the main roster, I just forgot who specifically had that oi oi. Had those fans chant, "Oh, Oni Lorcan."
well, you're speaking Greek to me. So moving on. Speaking of moving on and overcoming obstacles and overcoming things in front of us, the X Division. The X Division is being pretty much run by Gregory Shane Helms. So I need y'all to stand back because Gregory Helms was in a ring last night.
Give that man a title shot. And no, I'm not talking about Gregory Shane Helms.
No, I completely agree with you with Andrew Everett.
Andrew Everett.
He took
Give
on...
the next face of the X Division a title shot, damn it. Andrew Everett needs that shot. Put the strap on that kid.
He took on Marche Rocket, Suicide, and the man we once called the Hurricane in a four-way match that Helms was pretty much goaded into competing in, as he had a fourth member. They never said who it was, but it wound up being Shane Helms. And let me tell you something. After Andrew Everett won that match, he performed a Frankendriver on Trevor Lee, and oh my god. I was in the middle of a conversation with my girlfriend, and I stopped. Because the impact on Trevor Lee's head being spiked into the ground in a Hurricane Rana type move. Did either of you other two guys see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Wow, how did he walk away from that? He was head first into the mat. Head first. I was blown away.
I am looking forward to that match whenever it takes place. Both those guys can go.
Well, we'll get to when that takes place at the end of the show. Jaime, Laurel Van Ness.
I'm in love.
Dan, you're on timeout for right now.
Yeah.
You're just on timeout for right now because you've mentioned the unmentionable name twice. You're on timeout for right now. Jaime, Laurel Van Ness was a fiance to Braxton Sutter. Braxton Sutter's now married to Allie. Sienna promised to make it all right. Sienna and her cousin KM had a match with Braxton Sutter and Allie. Braxton Sutter won. We saw the debut of Congo Kong.
Aren't they trying to rip off Umaga's gimmick?
Well, from what I could gather from Congo Kong, and Dan, you can feel free to jump in now, Congo Kong is basically a trainer who sometimes wrestles in a little show wherever he is from, and they basically plucked him out of nowhere, much the way they did with KM, to put him into this feud. He's massive. He's got, I'd say, at least F cups, maybe G's. I don't know. I've never built a bra, but they're huge. And he's devastating. Where do you guys see Congo Kong in this, let's call it a storyline? Is this a launching pad, or is this just a one...
as a singles competitor, you mean?
Yeah. Do you see him going all the way and fighting the likes of Alberto El Patron and Bobby Lashley in the title picture?
Save for bad booking, he may, but I don't think so. But we might see him in squash matches against local talent, but I don't see him competing for titles. Not even the tag title.
Okay.
I don't see him that way.
Dan?
I'm just in love with Laurel Van Ness. Let me know. Stop being in love with her.
Yeah, anytime now, bud. She's crazy. She's crazy. Yeah.
Zack Ryder left Emma for her, so...
What?
You just have to...
Oh,
And
dude.
Zack's dating Laurel right now.
He's my ringtone. I love Zack Ryder. Love, love, love Zack Ryder. But, dude, that hurts. Speaking of being hurt, we have EC3. Now,
Reality check.
yeah, tell me about it. Bruce Pritchard comes out to name the #1 contender for Bobby Lashley's Impact World Championship, which will be defended next week on Impact, 8/7 Central, only on Pop TV. And it was named James Storm. The Cowboy came back in a big way last week, reasserted himself as the Cowboy, and broke away from his DCC compatriot Bram, and now he is got a world title shot, thanks in large part to a fan online and in-person vote. Needless to say, the man that is on the mission to make Impact great did not agree. Ethan Carter III comes out, tells Pritchard to read it again. Very intense, very gritty stuff. Pritchard basically tells him, go find a mirror, you did it to yourself, and you tapped out on yourself, not just the match. I for sure thought we'd see Ethan Carter III in the main event going after Lashley or going after El Patron or going after somebody.
I also expected him, but they gave it to Magnus. They set it up for Magnus' return. So
yeah, it was a big spot for Magnus, and you know that flying elbow and him getting the pin, and we'll get to what that meant here in a minute. But honestly, as I'm watching Impact on a weekly basis, it seems like, and I know they do this because of the taping, that I'm watching the first half and the second half of a show. And the 2 weeks need to be put together to make one 4-hour show every 2 weeks. You kind of got to watch them back to back to get the full storyline. Because I'll guarantee you, next week, you're going to see Ethan Carter III get involved in that world title match. You may see him do something to the Cowboy James Storm to cost him the title, and that may be your next feud, and you're going to see Carter blow him away. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I saw this coming like 2 weeks ago. It definitely looked like they were trying to build James Storm back up when he came out and interrupted EC3 during that promo and cut a promo of his own about how long he's been around. I saw this coming from miles away. I mean, James Storm been through the good and the bad with that company. I think he deserves one good final push. So what you're saying about EC3 coming out and destroying him, God, I hope it's not true, because that James Storm deserves better.
Yeah, James Storm has been around since, 2002, 2003, when TNA was still in the NWA. I hope it doesn't happen to him. I'd love to see the Cowboy in the WWE. I think he's Stone Cold Steve Austin with a little bit less je ne sais quoi, if you will. I want to see the Cowboy with the title, but it is what it is. Let's move on. We're actually going to talk about the DJZ Davey Richards match later on when me and Jaime close out the show. But basically what happened there, DJZ faced Davey Richards, got destroyed, and then Eddie Edwards and his wife battled through security. Eddie Edwards never got at Davey Richards, but Alicia beat the tar out of Angelina Love. I thought this would have been over. I really thought this would have been over at the Last Man Standing match that, Eddie Edwards met the steel chain kick, but apparently it's not.
I thought it's over. Yeah. Aren't Last Man Standing matches feud closers? I think this became their feud opener.
It definitely looks that way. Maybe we're going to see Alicia and Angelina Love go for a couple of months fighting each other, and Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards can just stand outside the ring looking like women.
I think I said last week, I'm just over it. Still over it. Done with it. I was happy that I thought I was going to be done with it. Not done with it now.
Speaking of done with it, what could be one of the biggest mistakes TNA has ever made, Josh Matthews is gone. He guaranteed on social media that if his team lost, he would no longer be in Impact. He would no longer be in the broadcast booth on Impact, and his team of Bram, Bobby Lashley, Eli Drake, Tyrus lost to Magnus, Chris Adonis, I keep wanting to call him Masters, Roberto El Patron, keep wanting to call him Del Rio, and Matt Morgan, the Blueprint. They lost. So no more Josh Matthews. Dan, you know how I love heel commentators. I play one on the radio. Where does this leave Josh Matthews?
In the broadcast booth.
You think he's going to be back?
Anywhere. He's not going anywhere. This feud isn't ending.
You
with
think?
JV.
You think he's going to sit there and say, "Hey, I tweeted that with my fingers crossed"?
Nah, something like that. I think he's just going to be smart ass Josh Matthews. I love Josh Matthews, but I'm so over the commentator feud with them too.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to. I mean, if he stays, it needs to just be done with, and they just need to do the show.
I will say one thing as we say goodbye to Dan, as he's got to go. We've heard some of the best one-liners since Attitude Era Jerry Lawler, and I'm all for that. So Dan, this is where we say goodbye to you. You have to get back to work. Thanks again for taking your spot up here. We'll see you back next week. Sayonara, Danny boy.
I will see you guys later at Real D Direct on Twitter. And I'll also leave you guys on this note. Always go YouTube your favorite Zack Sabre Jr. moments.
And that's 3, and no more talking from Dan. All right, Jaime. Now,
nice meeting you, Dan.
Jaime, let's talk about, you're from the Philippines. You said that in your intro. And as we were talking a little bit before the show, DJZ, who went to high school, no joke, 15 minutes from where the show is being recorded at, he's a Filipino as well. We've seen here as of late, the rise of non-traditional looking superstars, guys that aren't 6'8", 320, white, and or black. A few of them, including, DJZ or Zima Ion, if you want to call him that, and TJ Perkins, who's made quite a name for himself on 205 Live, are Filipino. Talk about what wrestling is like where you're from in the Philippines.
Here in the Philippines, they're trying to make strides into making it into mainstream success here in the country. Like, we have an equivalent for NBA here. So we have an equivalent for the big volleyball leagues here. So they're trying to do the same with, there's this thing called Philippine Wrestling Revolution, and their concept is like D&D style, traveling once a month to produce shows. And I know some people from there because some of them happen to be some of my classmates who I used to trade action figures with back in the day. There's this one guy named Chris Panzer. I think he's the top star of the I haven't followed it, to be honest, but based on what I see on Facebook, he's one of the top stars now. The fans here have gone a long way because they conduct wrestling classes here. It's just kind of far from my area. That's why I myself was not able to attend the recent tryout. But they're making strides. They're making mainstream success. They're filling out seats. They're selling T-shirts, and they're very active on social media.
Now, what is the fan split there? Do you have a lot of WWE fans? Do you have a lot of fans of the independent product? Any Impact fans? Anybody that is just a wrestling fan in general? Anybody that's old school NWA when once every couple of years shows in the Philippines? Do you have anybody that's fans of like New Japan or All Japan or anything that's going on in that area?
Here in the Philippines, most of the fans were fans during the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression era, but they kind of lost their love for wrestling when the product turned PG. Like, they would usually play it cool, say, "Oh, I've moved on from wrestling. Wrestling's fake," and all those stuff. So most of the fan base here are WWE fans, and you would only see the hardcore fans watching the Indies or New Japan or maybe even TNA, but mostly it's WWE right now, and most of them are no longer aware of the backgrounds of, let's say, your Sami Zayns, your Kevin Owens. They would just think that they debuted, they came out of nowhere, not knowing that these guys are indie darlings back in the day. So that's kind of the setup here.
Okay, cool. All right, bud. Well, it is about time for us to close down the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast. We're going to cut it a little bit short today. Before we go, we have to say, Beano Machino, we missed you today. Jaime did a hell of a job filling in for you. We're going to have Jaime back at a later date, but hope everything goes well with you, Beano.
Forward.
Yeah, we will see you next week, God willing. Jaime, want to thank you for filling in, especially on such short notice. We'll be happy to have you back again. Where can people find you on social media, Jaime?
Well, my Twitter account is @JaimeFRTD.
Okay, so that's JAIMEFR
TD.
TD.
For Tango.
T, there you go.
Yeah.
FRTD.
You can also find me at realsport101.com. I do the recaps for NXT and 205 Live and the previews for all the WWE shows except for pay-per-views. So because that's the job for Patches Chance. Nick, shout out.
Yeah, we are hoping to have the editor of the wrestling section for realsport101.com. That is Nick. We call him Patches. He has a chance of being on this show next week, so we're looking forward to seeing that. We have nothing planned next week except more hard-hitting commentary on everything that is wrestling in and around the industry. So, Jaime, once again, we'd like to thank you for being on the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down with the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast, we got 2 words for you. Keep listening.